The day after I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on. I remember one thing, I had a very hard moment in that part of my life, but I assure you in that age, I could have put that clown in the first round, but I sold my soul, and I'm ashamed of it.
Is it true that you made $170 million from this fight?
I made a lot of money, the most money I've made ever.
60 million households, Jake.
250 million people.
Bro, that is so
It's all downhill
crazy.
from here.
No, for sure.
I peaked.
How do you think the Jake Paul-Anthony Joshua fight plays out?
I don't know. I want to make sure. I believe once I see him in the ring.
If Paul starts his boxing career earlier, could Jake Paul have been a champion?
I'll tell y'all the truth. I told y'all. They made Mike Tyson retract his statement on Twitter. They made him rewrite a post on top of deleting a post. Yeah, I told you that fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was rigged. I told you that I don't care what Mike Tyson is saying now, he have to do that to secure his money. He's still an investment for future exhibitions.
That ending was never really in doubt. Anthony Joshua didn't just stop Jake Paul, he shattered the fantasy built around him. In the process, it left Mike Tyson looking like he picked storytelling over real combat, and suddenly the sport felt exposed in a way that can't be undone. It doesn't even feel believable at first. So let's go back for a second, because to see how this unfolded, you have to understand one thing. This wasn't a competitive matchup. It was a carefully stretched moment that collapsed the instant an authentic heavyweight stepped in, made contact with a media star, and reality snapped back into place.
On a podcast one time, and he talked about it, he said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. He said, I'm only doing real fights. And of course, I can't get up high in weight, but I'll fight him in a real fight at the weight that I'm at. But Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter.
I can't get the image out of my head. Tyson sitting ringside, watching Joshua take Jake Paul apart. What was on his face wasn't pride, and it wasn't surprise. It was awareness, mixed with something heavier. The kind of regret that hits when you realize someone else just crossed a line you were financially encouraged not to. His body knew it before his mind caught up. Decades of instinct fired all at once. And if you think that moment didn't shake him to his core, you're kidding yourself. Now comes the part people avoid because it gets uncomfortable quickly. Tyson had the ability to stop Jake Paul at any moment if he chose to. Everyone in that arena understood it, Jake included. That's why Joshua's knockout lands with so much force. It exposed something that was always there. The limits were manufactured, but the risk never was. Once that reality breaks through, there's no putting it back behind the curtain, no matter how carefully the story gets rewritten afterward. When Joshua put Paul down in the fifth, something shifted. History itself felt unstable, because suddenly every earlier fight was reconsidered through a colder lens. You could almost sense viewers replaying that Tyson match in their heads, all arriving at the same unspoken questions. Why didn't it happen then? Why was restraint chosen? Why did this outcome feel so different? And once those thoughts take hold, they don't fade, they repeat.
Follow it too, because when this fight was first announced, you had said something to the effect of this would end Jake Paul's career. After what you saw tonight, do you think that Jake should continue to box, or what do you think the future holds for him?
Yeah, no, I really take my hat off. I mean, we have to see if it is a broken jaw. Those injuries are very difficult to come back from. But as AJ said, like that last shot would have knocked out a lot of heavyweights. And I know he went down heavy, but you know, he was conscious on the floor. And I thought his game plan, although obviously very negative early on, which it had to be, was smart at times. And there were times where he held his feet and let his hands go. You know, it was a very one-sided fight. It was always good.
People keep labeling this a mismatch, but that word feels too neat for what actually unfolded. This wasn't imbalance, it was reality snapping back into place. After years of floating above consequence, gravity finally returned. And Joshua didn't hurry the moment. He stalked it. That's what makes it unsettling, because when a seasoned fighter slows things down, it means the outcome is already decided in his mind. Jake could feel that certainty closing in with every passing round. By the sixth, it felt less like a round and more like a ruling. Not just because of the punch itself, but because of what it represented. That right hand didn't only damage a jaw, it stripped away the unspoken approval that had allowed this whole spectacle to masquerade as real competition. The moment surgical hardware enters the story, the humor evaporates. Anyone still laughing after that is either detached or pretending. What truly stuck with me was Eddie Hearn's comment about introducing Jake to the sport and Joshua being the one to end the journey. That wasn't banter. It sounded final. Promoters don't frame things that way unless they believe the chapter is closed for good. And if you think that line wasn't replaying in Jake's head under hospital lights, then you're missing where the real damage was done, the mental kind.
You in pain?
Yeah, but
Does
it's
it
not
hurt?
it's not from like talking.
Talk to me about what your jaw feels like, because you got
It's like a baseball in there.
two
And then
plates,
It just feels like
4 titanium plates.
4 titanium plates. How many do you have?
Just one.
Watching Joshua dismantle the whole illusion forces an uncomfortable contrast. One fighter followed the plan. The other rejected it outright. And history doesn't care about the size of the payday. It only remembers which path was taken. Call it conspiracy all you want, but Tyson himself cracked the facade when he admitted he barely recalls that fight and woke up questioning why he even agreed to it. That isn't the voice of someone content with how things played out. That's the sound of a man who knows he compromised something he once held untouchable. And regrets like that don't fade, they amplify over time. This part deserves to be said carefully. Joshua didn't need post-fight speeches or explanations. His actions delivered the message, and the quiet afterward reinforced it. When silence carries more weight than words, it's because the reality is too clear to reframe. And somewhere, every influencer-turned-fighter watching that night felt a knot in their stomach, whether they're ready to admit it or not.
The fight that much, I kind of blanked out a little. Listen, know what I remember? Coming back from the first round, and then the next day I remember Jake is doing some kind of, I don't know, what was he doing at the ring?
Oh, yeah, a little bow at the end, he bowed.
And that's the last thing I remember. You know, but the day after the fight, right after, the day after, I woke up and told my wife, why did I do that? You know, I don't know, I just don't know what the hell goes on.
What did you think of Jake's power, man, when you were in there?
I keep picturing Tyson when the news broke about the shattered jaw, because biology doesn't negotiate and hype can't argue with x-rays. Seeing real damage laid bare forces a brutal reckoning. Every moment you chose restraint over instinct comes rushing back. And part of you wants to say, this can't be real. Unless, of course, the regret is already gnawing at him far more than he's willing to show. Here's the thought people should sit with, even if it's uncomfortable. If Tyson is now openly acknowledging that money influenced outcomes, how many other bouts are about to be reconsidered by the public? Once confidence cracks, it spreads quickly. Boxing has always lived on belief, and right now that belief is leaking out in real time. What also lingers is how composed Joshua was from start to finish. Calm fighters are the most dangerous, and the most truthful. That composure didn't feel like someone chasing headlines. It felt like someone restoring order. And corrections don't stay contained. They travel outward. So the real question isn't what just got exposed, it's who feels next.
Hoping after this Floyd fight, maybe we can have a rematch. He did well, but I want to try it again.
Is that something that you would be interested in terms of righting
Yes,
the
I
wrong
would
and
be,
not the man?
yes, I would.
This doesn't wrap up with a replay clip or a sharp quote from a podium. What comes next is the quiet, and that quiet feels manufactured. When everything goes still this fast, it usually means narratives are being adjusted and uncomfortable details are being pushed out of sight. I don't buy it for a second. This story isn't finished, and whatever comes next is going to be darker than the punch that ended the fight. When it surfaces, this knockout will look less like a climax and more like an early alarm. Looking back, the outcome feels disturbingly inevitable. It's as if the sport finally reached its breaking point, tired of stretching the illusion any further, and snapped everything back into alignment. 4 years, spectacle and competition were pulled so far apart that something had to give. Joshua wasn't the cause. He was simply the moment it failed. What doomed this wasn't drive or money. It was the quiet transformation of confidence into entitlement, crossing a line no one notices until it's too late. The belief that reality could be bargained with, that volume, branding, and audience size could outweigh consequence, is what collapsed here. There's something unsettling about watching a constructed story fall apart in real time because it reveals how much fandom relies on trust. Once that trust fractures, everything behind it gets re-examined. You start wondering how many moments were authentic and how many were softened to preserve an outcome. Joshua didn't just secure a victory. He restored accountability. And that's the part people haven't fully absorbed yet, because accountability doesn't go viral, it lingers. It stays with fighters long after the lights shut off and the online noise fades. I can't shake the contrast between preparation and promotion. One happens quietly, unseen. The other needs constant attention to exist. When they finally meet, the outcome is never theatrical. It's firm, final, like physics reasserting itself, unimpressed by attention or applause. What troubles me most is how easily genuine fighters were reduced to plot devices, treated as checkpoints in someone else's narrative instead of professionals carrying years of damage, discipline, and instinct. That framing didn't just disrespect them. It made this collapse inevitable. Once you start treating fighters as plot points, it's easy to forget that a single precise action can end an entire night. There's a strange melancholy in realizing that even legends aren't immune to the system, that someone like Tyson can be pulled into the gravitational pull of spectacle and money. It's a reminder of just how powerful the machinery is, and how nearly impossible it is to step outside once you're caught inside it. Moments like this are rare. They rewrite the emotional order of a sport, quieting the loudest voices and leaving the true professional standing, credibility intact. Every replay of that knockout carries more weight, not because of the strike itself, but because of what it signifies. A hard boundary between levels, a reminder that experience is measured not just in years, but in the damage endured and lessons painfully learned. There's irony in the pursuit of legitimacy accelerating the collapse of illusion. Seeking real competition inevitably means meeting it head-on. Real competition doesn't care about optics, branding, or whether it's convenient for the audience. I can't help but wonder how many fighters watched that night feeling two things at once: relief that the sport defended itself, and fear that the same spotlight could fall on them if they misjudged the balance between confidence and competence. The fallout matters more than the fight itself. This is where careers shift, managers rethink strategies, matchmaking philosophies evolve, and fans recalibrate what they're willing to believe next time a big promise is made. Joshua didn't rush. He waited patiently for an opening that was always going to present itself, a lesson that comes only from years of learning the hard way. What lingers is that it didn't feel chaotic or cruel. It was surgical. The dismantling was methodical, leaving nowhere to point fingers but inward. The sport needed a moment like this, whether it knew it or not. Without these periodic reality checks, boxing risks drifting too far into theater, and theater without real stakes eventually becomes hollow, no matter how bright the lights shine. A quiet reckoning is happening now, not just for one fighter, but for an entire approach to selling fights. Audiences may still crave spectacle, but they're reminded how deeply they respect authenticity when it arrives. This will likely reshape how crossover fights are perceived going forward. True crossover implies mutual respect between disciplines, not one side borrowing credibility without earning it. Psychological damage can last longer than physical injury. Once doubt creeps in at this level, it doesn't easily leave, and doubt is the one opponent you can't train or pay your way past. Admiration flips into scrutiny the moment the protective layer falls. The same crowd that once cheered the dream will now analyze every detail mercilessly. And if you're unprepared, that swing can hit brutally. There's no tidy ending here. No neat moral or concluding bow. Something has shifted, and the aftershocks haven't stopped. Like tectonic plates after an earthquake, the tremors continue. And the most unsettling thought? This is far from the final chapter. Once a fault line in the sport becomes this visible, the next rupture could be louder, messier, and far less forgiving than the last.